Thanks very much for staying with us. Time now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, Nigeria's former Chief Justice is found guilty of failing to declare all his assets and banned from holding office for 10 years. Walter Onigon's supporters say that he is being politically persecuted by President Muhammadu Buhari. Also, Shiite members of the Islamic movement of Nigeria are growing increasingly frustrated with their treatment at the hands of authorities in Kaduna State in particular. The leader of the IMN, Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakzaki, has been detained since 2015. And we head to a forum in Abidjan aimed at helping and honouring female entrepreneurship. Across the continent, women have long struggled to raise the cash they need to grow their business, and new initiatives hoping to change that. But first, Nigeria's former top judge has been found guilty of corruption by an ethics court and banned from holding public office for a decade. The Code of Conduct Tribunal also ordered that the state seize any cash found in Walter Onigon's foreign bank accounts. Onigon was first accused of failing to declare all his assets and suspended as Chief Justice just weeks before President Muhammadu Buhari ran for re-election in February. That sparked an outcry, with the opposition saying that the move was illegal and manipulative. As Chief Justice, Onigon could have ruled on electoral disputes. Now, opposition candidate Atiku Abubakar says that Buhari's win in this year's elections was stolen from him because and has launched a legal challenge to Buhari's re-election. Well, Sam Olukoya joins us now with more. Sam, first of all, why does the opposition feel so certain that this is still politically motivated? The election's over and Onigon does appear to have broken the rules. Isn't this just what happens when you break the rules in a high-stakes role?
Well, I think that Nigeria is an exception to this because when it comes to fighting corruption, it's been known that most times the government uses the fight against corruption against its opponents. In the case of the Chief Justice, a petition was written against him, and this petition was found to have been investigated within 24 hours. They are basing their case on the fact that the Chief Justice did not submit his asset, declare his assets. This is something that was a petition written by somebody, a private person, and we know very much that this asset declaration has never been made known to members of the public. So the issue now is that how did somebody who is not in government have got access to the asset declaration of the Chief Justice to the extent that he was able to write a petition against him. And of course, we know that the Chief Justice is supposed to be in charge of constituting the judges who will appear, preside over cases of elections. And the Chief Justice had a history of having ruled against a president that won the election, and said he never won the election. So the opposition feels, based on this, the president was a bit afraid of the Chief Justice to stand on matters affecting his re-election.
And on that note, where do things stand at the moment with Atiku Abubakar's challenge to Buhari's re-election?
Well, Atiku Abubakar, who was a runner-up in the election, has gone to court to challenge the election. He said he won the election by as many as 1.6 million votes, which the ruling party is disputing. And the latest is that Atiku, he said he got these figures from the server of the electoral body, and the electoral body said that is not true. And he is now inviting people from Microsoft, IBM, and Oracle, who he said will prove that these materials came from the server of the electoral body. The government also is saying that Atiku Abubakar is not a Nigerian. I mean, you recall Atiku Abubakar had served Nigeria as a vice president for 8 years, and many Nigerians are surprised that at this stage anybody could go to court and said this man is not a Nigerian. Of course, we've seen a similar situation in the past where government went to court to say one of its opponents is not a Nigerian, and before you knew it, that man had been deported. So many people are warning that they hope this wouldn't result to a situation where Atiku Abubakar could be bundled out of the country on grounds that it's not a Nigerian. So that is where we are with this case, and Nigerians are sitting down to watch the unfolding drama.
Thanks very much. Samuel Okoye there for us in Nigeria. While staying in the country, there are fears that a crackdown on a Shia Muslim movement whose leaders have been detained since 2015 could radicalise followers along the lines of the shift that led to the emergence of Boko Haram. The head of the Islamic movement of Nigeria, Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakzaky, has been indefinitely adjourned. Now, he's been accused of acts of terror and culpable homicide, but members of the IMN say that is all being cooked up and that they are being persecuted across Kaduna State. Our correspondents report.
This nurse is a member of the Islamic movement of Nigeria and works in the suburbs of Kaduna. He's checking up on Mariama. The mother of 3 is recovering from a foot injury. Last October, she was shot in the ankle.
We've always faced such hatred in Nigeria. People will hate you, even the government, because of what you believe in, because of your faith. Even if this type of hostility is worrying, I think they'll end up tiring themselves out and stop trying to come between us and our faith.
Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakzaky, the spiritual guide of the Islamic movement of Nigeria, has been in detention since 2015. IMN centres and schools have been torn down, and members of the Shia organisation complain of state-sanctioned persecution and violation of their human rights. Authorities accuse the IMN of violence, and the sect is banned in Kaduna State. Leaders of the group say it's no threat.
We don't have weapons. We don't have weapons, and it is not our intention to take weapons. It is not our intention. We are calling people to religion. How can somebody who is calling people to religion will take arm?
At the headquarters of the Armed Forces General Staff, the Islamic movement of Nigeria is a cause for concern. It's listed as a religious group and is being closely watched. The army is uncomfortable with the power wielded by the IMN leaders and believes the Shia movement is above the law.
They look at their leader, El-Zakzaky, as a president, and within their ranks they have governors, they have chairmen, they have councillors. So maybe what they are doing is to show that they don't have any regard for Nigerian states.
Members of the Shia movement want Sheikh Ibrahim El-Zakzaky released so he can realise their dream of turning Nigeria into an Islamic republic. The results from the polls during the presidential elections in February showed heavy marks of religious affiliations across the country, divided by the Muslim North and Christian South.
The remains of 7 soldiers have been exhumed in Gambia as part of investigations into human rights abuses committed during Yahya Jammeh's 22 years in power. The men had taken part in an attempt to overthrow the dictator in 1994. About 24 troops were executed following that move against Jammeh. He's in exile in Equatorial Guinea after having lost elections to Adama Barrow in December 2016 and subsequently having to be forced out of office. In DR Congo, at least 13 people have died and 142 are still missing after a boat went down on Lake Kivu earlier this week. It's not clear what caused it to go down, but deadly boat accidents happen a lot in the country, and overcrowding is often a cause. Well, this week, Abidjan hosted the first regional Wi-Fi summit. It's part of a global push to help female entrepreneurs get loans and financing. Even Ivanka Trump, the daughter of President Donald Trump, attended the Forum on Female Economic Empowerment while she was still on a trip to the continent. The push has got the backing of the World Bank, Islamic Development Bank and African Development Bank, amongst others. Our correspondents were also there. They sent us this report.
Patricia Yao is a serial entrepreneur. She's launched 3 startups and counting. Among them is QuickCash, a money transfer system aimed at people in rural areas.
We've got 3 businesses operating out of the same location. This is the open plan area where all the different employees are. Each one is working on a specific task.
She manages a team of 20 staff and has created indirect employment for a further 1,500 across 4 countries. It's a success story for now, but it's been far from plain sailing. It's taken 2 decades, during which she's never once been able to get a bank loan.
I was talking about financial projections, how much money I'd need to borrow. His response was that a woman didn't need that much money. What was I going to do with it? Perhaps I needed to buy myself some lipstick and things like that. I thought he was joking, but he was serious.
Hers is far from the only such case. In developing countries, 70% of women who own or run a business have no access to the financing they need. Supporting access to credit is the goal for WeFi, the Women Entrepreneurs Finance Initiative. $350 million have already been made available for this by donor countries.
We have created a test that we put in front of a woman, and on that basis, the financial institution can judge whether this woman is credit-worthy without collateral, without credit history.
Patricia Yao is invited to share the difficulties she encounters. She hopes that this summit won't be just another talking shop.
The time for discourse is over. It's time for action. I expect a lot from this forum, and if I get access to financing, then I'll be able to say it's been a success.
And then just minutes later, the president of the African Development Bank calls the entrepreneur back on stage, promising to support her projects. Momentarily moved to tears, Patricia Yao may now be able to achieve what she set out to do.
Well, that's it for Eye on Africa for now. Thanks for joining us. Do so again if you can. Take care.
Sur France 24, la nuit, on est très fiers d'accompagner les Amériques dans leurs soirées, de voir l'Asie se réveiller, et on est là jusqu'à ce que Paris s'éveille.
France 24 es más que solo noticias. Es libertad, igualdad y actualidad. Nosotros damos un paso más allá, con información al momento para analizar, comprender, poner en perspectiva y debatir.
Sur France 24, l'Afrique c'est chic.
In Live from Paris, our correspondents around the world keep you up to date.
من الطبيعي أن يكون شعارها الحرية، وخاصة حرية التعبير في بلد حرية التعبير.